and welcome back to another episode of Bites of Business. I'm Asia, and I have today my guest, Jon Clemence, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Great. Thanks so much, Asia, for letting me be a part of your podcast. Love being on. Love hanging out with you. So just so you know, I'm an editor. I'm a writer. And so I got my start during COVID. I actually switched careers. I used to be in the corporate world, and I did that for 15 years. For the first 10, I loved it. For the last 5, I hated it. So I was looking for something else to do, but I was too scared to do anything about it. But thankfully, I lost my job in COVID, like so many of us did. So I was able to kind of take that moment to say, okay, what do I really want to do? And I realized, you know what I really want to do? I want to help businesses make their content better. I want to help them make their blogs and their newsletters, their books, emails, whatever it is, resonate with people better, get more leads, get more sales. And so that's what I started to do. I started that, 2021. And I've just been working on that ever since. So that's a bit of my background.
That's amazing. And exactly what would you say is your technique when it comes to getting people, like building content and getting people leads and stuff like that?
Yeah, so if you look at SEO, the very most important thing about SEO when it comes to like written content is quality. So like Google had that helpful content update, right? So it's right there in the title, right? Helpful. That should be your first clue. So what we do is with myself and my agency is we want to make sure that your content is helpful. Does it answer the question that the user is trying to figure out? Does it give them some value? So from an SEO standpoint, that's key. And then from your business standpoint, what we're trying to do is make sure that your content resonates with those readers and that it actually takes them through that customer journey. And that at the end of your, again, newsletter, article, email, whatever it happens to be, there's some next step that they're now compelled to take, and they know what that is. So really, it's a lot more than just finding and fixing mistakes, spelling or whatever, and that's a part of it. That's important, but it's more about going that next level and saying, okay, is this really optimized for SEO? Is it really going to resonate with your readers? Is it really going to help you meet your business goals? So that's where we want to come in and provide that value. So again, it includes the basic things you think of, spelling, grammar, and so on, but it actually goes beyond that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know from like personal experience, just like dealing with SEO, it's kind of challenging, to be completely honest, just because like trying to find like the right audience and trying to find the right voice to speak to that audience, it's not as easy as you would think it would be. And like even trying to find keywords for my clients, just trying to figure out like what their niche words are and trying to figure out just being specific enough to capture that audience and reel them in. It's quite difficult. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say would be like the biggest influence in your professional journey?
Yeah. Okay. This is going to sound strange, but I honestly think the biggest influence might be fear.
Fear.
Yeah. Why do I say that?
Yeah.
Because, well, first of all, I waited far too long to start because I was scared to take that first step.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of it. And I'm also, I use fear to motivate me because a couple things. Number one, I don't want to go back to the corporate world. So anytime that I feel overwhelmed or don't know what to do or feel like this is never going to work, which, everyone feels that way, right?
Yeah.
I think about the alternative, which is going back to the corporate world. And I say, okay, maybe I'll push through this one because I really don't want to go back to work for someone else. So there's that element. There's the element of, I have to provide for my family. And so we have a house. We like to eat food and wear clothing. So, that pushes me on. But so all those are true. But really the way that fear actually motivates me is when I have the next step that I know I need to take in my business and I feel that sense of fear, I use that as kind of an indication that I really need to do this. Like that's my key. Like, all right, this is a thing that I need to do. So rather than running away from the things that I don't want to do, I lean into them And that's where growth lies. That's where improvements happen. So yeah, fear. I use fear to my advantage.
That's amazing. Yeah, I never looked at it that way, but you put a lot of things in perspective for me. Like, I agree. I have like a high standard of living, I guess you could say, and like I don't I don't want to have to go back from that. So, yeah, I completely agree. Um, and then I guess in terms of content, like what would you say is, other than like finding like the SEO and everything that you've mentioned, like what would you say is like your process, or like the starting point, or how do you get from point A to point B?
Yeah. So, like, if you're a potential customer or a client of mine, for example, the starting point is just sending me an email or booking a call, because I need to get to know you and what you want to accomplish, and kind of what content you already have. Because we want to make sure that whatever we do, whatever we write for you, or however we edit for you, like, it's still in your voice, and it's still, in your tone, and it's still getting across your expertise. So that's a big part of it. Is if you own a company, you've got a service, you have a product, like, you're the expert, like, it backwards and forwards, and that what you have is valuable to other people.
Mm,
And so then really the process is, how do we as editors come in and help you get that across in your blog, in your newsletter, in your book, maybe whatever it happens to be. So from a customer standpoint, that's the process, is developing that relationship, um, getting a sense of who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. And then from there, we might create like a style guide so that we can maintain consistency in everything that you say and do. There might be specific words that you want to use over and over again, or there might be specific ways you want to say things. So that's another element of the process. And then from an editing standpoint, man, it's just there's a lot of technical things that go into it, but it's just having a keen eye and knowing how to find the mistakes, knowing what good copy looks like, what good flow looks like, and how to take what you're given and put it into that kind of a format.
mm,
So there's a lot that goes into it, but again, from a customer or client standpoint, it's really about developing that relationship, and yeah, just allowing us to give you the value that we know you need to succeed.
mm. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, I know, like when I come and I have my SEO clients and stuff, um, you're completely right. Like the biggest step is trying to figure out what their voice is, and trying to figure out what their brand is, and trying to relate to them, and trying to figure out what it is that they want to convey, and whatever it is that um, they're trying to generate at the time, whether it be a website, whether it be like you said, a book, novel. That's very true. Um, I'm trying to think. Sorry.
Mm.
I I've been swamped with schoolwork, so like I com-
No,
like I am completely unprepared today.
it's all good.
Um, when it comes to like tools and stuff like that, what are some of the like what are some tools that you think that have been really helpful
Yeah,
with you
you broke up just a
along the
little
way?
bit. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, when it comes to tools, what tools have you come to find out to be very helpful to us? Oh man.
Yeah, so there's there's a couple of tools. So I'm going to speak again to a potential client, a customer. A very important tool, and it's one that's very easy to start, and you can start it yourself if you want, is just go to Google Docs, create a new document, and title it Your Company Name Style Guide. And so what you're going to do is, every time you write something, every time you read something you've written, you're just going to start taking notes again about your voice. Are there certain words, like in your industry or in your company, that you need to use in a certain way? Or maybe you've got a product name that's spelled a little bit differently than like the normal word. Just write it down.
Mm,
Um, Maybe there's certain things you want to avoid saying. Just write all that stuff down. And what that does is it helps you to be consistent over time, as you write, as you edit, as you hire someone like me to come do those things for you. Uh,
mm,
so that's a really important tool. It's really easy to make, and not a lot of people have it. So that's a super important tool. There's probably the other important tool from a client perspective is if you do want to get better, just at your writing or in general, it is buy a dictionary. I know it sounds kind of weird, like no one's used a dictionary since they were 10, right? Well, actually, that's not true. I use the dictionary every day. But
Yeah.
English is super hard, and you
Yeah.
cannot, like, even I don't know how to spell every word. So, like, perfect example, I can't spell bureaucracy to save my life. I have to look it up every single time. So instead of trying to like I instead of trying to like sit there and remember how to spell a word, if you just go out and get the Merriam-Webster's dictionary on Kindle, it's $10 and just look it up.
Yeah.
Um, one thing you mentioned, you're in school, and one thing that schools do that I wish they didn't is they stress is you do all the study, you go to all your classes, and then you sit down and take a test, and you have no notes and no references. You just have to like remember. That's great for a grade. That's not how life works.
Right.
So, you don't have to remember everything. Use the dictionary, use your style guide, reach out to me, contract out to me, use
Yeah.
an editor. Like in the game of life, use your resources. So there's a couple to kind of, get you further down the road.
I really like those tips. I in tools, like I never thought about that of just writing everything down and like it like kind of like utilizing like a journal or just like a notepad or something like that and just putting all your ideas out there and just writing everything down. Like that's a really good tip. That's a really
Yeah.
good tool. Um I know I do that for like when I go to do my web designs and stuff like that. Like I go to Figma and I just
Mhm.
do stop it. I do wireframes for stop it. And I do wireframes for everything. And I just like do outlines of what I like envision the website to look like and feel like and stuff like that and come back to it when I want to and or need to and go from there. But yeah, that's some really good advice. Um and then for our listeners who are starting out, what advice would you give them to help them succeed? Like, what are some things that in the beginning of your stage, not stages, in the beginning of your journey, did you come to find to be really challenging that you wish you would have known now or then that you know now?
Yeah. So the most important thing that I learned that I wish I would have learned earlier is the importance of marketing and sales in your business.
Yeah.
So when I started, I was an editor. I went and I found some clients in Upwork and I started editing, and that was great. And
Mhm.
so I think we all have these ideas when we start out, like, I'm just going to do the thing I do and it's going to be wonderful. Uh, but then when you want to expand and get more customers and grow your income, you have to do marketing and you have to do sales. Now,
Yeah.
those don't have to be dirty words. You don't have to do them in an unethical way, but you do
Yeah.
have to do them. So I wish I had learned that earlier. I finally learned it more recently than I care to admit, but
Yeah.
that's like the number one key. So I would say from before when I said, lean into your fears and do the things you're afraid of, that's like super important. And then learn about marketing and sales and figure out how to get your name out there. I
Yeah.
just read a book called The 10X Rule, and he made a really good point. He said, exposure is your number one problem. You can have the best service, the best product, but if no one knows you exist, you're not going to make any sales. So lean into that. Learn how to do it. Go get some help. Get a mentor. Get a coach. Hire it out if you have to, but figure out a way to do marketing and sales. Like that's the most important thing that I've learned in this whole thing.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Like, I was just talking to somebody else recently, and we were discussing about like the importance of brand and like understanding like your value in the market and like how like where you play and your role and everything like that. And like, um, we were also discussing too, like I feel like when somebody starts a business, like or decides they want to become an entrepreneur, one of the first steps should be that they get like a mentor. Like just anytime anybody wants to become a business owner or an entrepreneur, they just automatically should get a mentor and like because they can teach them the ups and downs, like the ins and outs, and like get them connections that they wouldn't necessarily get on their own. And like it just opens a bunch of doors that they wouldn't have without that mentor. And I just feel like that's just key and crucial to starting your journey and just being successful as an entrepreneur or a business owner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um Uh, I don't know. Where do you see your industry in the future? Like, what do you see? Where do you foresee yourself in the future with your industry? Are you going to stay with this? Do you think you're going to migrate to something else? Like, how do you foresee where you'll be in the future?
Yeah, I would like to stay with this because I actually, I mean, it's something I enjoy and passionate
Mhm.
about. So for me personally, I am making the shift from doing more, how would I say this? More solo clients, like it's just me working with the client, to bringing in my agency. So I have a number, I have like 9 freelancers that actually contract with me, and I basically farm a lot of work out to them. So my goal is to build that in the future because now I'm divorcing my time from my money, and now I can, really see some gains. So growing the agency is a super big part of it. And another big part of it for me is with the rise of AI, and I'm sure we can talk about this, but I think personally, and now again, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't guarantee anything in the future, but then, neither can you. So, but I think that authenticity is going to be a, a valuable asset in the future. Because if everyone's using AI to write bland, boring copy, and you have a voice that's authentic and has something to say in a different way, like
Yeah,
people are going to be drawn to that. So if I can help people to do that with my agency, with my editing, I think there's a real opportunity there. And that's not to say that we can't use AI for certain things, but for like long form content, it's not a great solution. So again, any way that I can help a person bring their unique voice to the table, that's only going to be an asset.
right, right. No, I agree with you. I definitely don't think that AI is anywhere close to where it should be. Not even necessarily should. I don't think that's the right word, but necessarily where like it's taking over the world. And like I understand people are losing jobs now, but like I just don't foresee it to be that influential in the future. Like I feel like it's still going to be at like this baseline, maybe a little bit above, but like I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
ever think that we're going to hit that full like 100 mark, at least anytime soon. And
Yeah. And can I actually mention something? I just
yeah.
wanted to kind of piggyback off that because that's a good point. So, because I was thinking about this the other day, authenticity is super important. And like, I don't know about you, but if I'm reading something on the internet, I would prefer to connect with a human being and not a
Mhm.
machine. Um, and I thought about this. I thought even so, like AI, it can't tell you a story about something that happened to it because it doesn't have experiences. It can't like tell you a funny joke that kind of relates or like a quip because it's just not equipped to do that. Um, it can't think of new and novel connections and things. It's only derivative. But even if it becomes able to do those things and tell you these stories, hey, I did this thing this one time. Here's how it connects. Like it's lying. It didn't really do that thing. It's still inauthentic. So this is a hurdle or an obstacle for AI that I don't think it can overcome. Like it
Right,
cannot be authentic. It is not possible. If it
right.
tries to be, it's lying to you. So I think that's just something to consider. If you're writing content, if you have a blog or a book or a website, like just think about that. I think there's some implications there.
Yeah, that's true. Like I never thought of it like that. It's just a bunch of like zeros and ones and just a bunch of code that's just like regurgitating its information. Like
Yeah.
it's not able to compute or like function and create its own like original authentic content
Yeah.
or information. It's just yeah. That's crazy. Like it's literally just an algorithm just spatting out algorithms.
Yeah, and that's why like if you start reading on the internet and you start looking for it, it's very easy to find AI written like blog
Yeah,
posts, for example,
yeah,
because they're boring. They're
yeah.
just blah. And
And
like who wants to read that?
they use the same words like top notch.
Yeah,
Um, like I don't know. I never really seen the word robust so much in my life.
yeah. Delve
Like
is another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's crazy. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely think you brought up a good point in that um especially if you're able to capture your audience and have such a unique voice that like you'll do all right. You'll do fine. You'll do great. Um I guess with that being said, like, do you have any like goals or aspirations for yourself, like financially and not financially, professionally and personally, that like for the future?
I do. I have some number of goals that I want to reach with my business. It's kind of funny, like I don't being a millionaire is like not a goal of mine. That's not important to me at all. But having enough money to pay all the bills and do some fun stuff, that is definitely a goal for me.
Yeah.
So, increasing income over time while decreasing the amount of time I spend in the business and increasing the amount of time I spend on the business, like that's another goal. And really just to continue to develop valuable services that make the world a better place. Like honestly, like that's my goal, my overarching goal is like how can I give back? So many people have given to me. How can I give back? How can I make the world a better place? And I know this might sound kind of silly, but if I can help a blog owner or an author make a better product that's fun to read and engaging, like I take pride in that. Like that's
Mhm.
important, even if it might seem small to someone else. Like that's important to me. So the
Yeah.
more that I can do that, the more that I can give back, provide value. That's really the ultimate goal for me, is just to be able to do that. And that's just not something that I could really do in a corporate job. So that's why I'm so excited about this.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I know that like I feel the same way that when I like get somebody's website out there, like I'm allowing for them to feel seen. I'm allowing for them to be heard. Like I'm helping them and like getting their voice out there and getting their vision out there. And like I feel so good about that. Like I can only imagine how good you feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling to just know that you help someone else meet their goals. Like that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely, yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, I don't know. Uh, do you have any other like last uh tips or feedback
I
to our
I
listeners?
do. So I did want to bring up one thing. So,
Yeah.
and this is specifically aimed at businesses who have blogs and are trying to generate revenue and income through those blogs. So if you go to my website, which is cedarpressproofreading.com, you can actually download a self-assessment. So it's got about 15 questions on it, and you can use that to look at your own blog and kind of rate it, kind of give it a grade. And what it will show you is, okay, maybe my blog is very good in these particular areas, but maybe it's not so great in these other areas. And it's kind of going to give you that path to move forward to improve your own website. And it's something you can do by yourself for free if you want. It will take up a lot of time, so beware. It may be better to like outsource it to a guy like me who can take that off your plate. But you can totally do it yourself too. So again, a bunch of my tips are in this self-assessment. So I would encourage anybody who has a blog, go to cedarpressproofreading.com, look at the blog self-assessment. It's free. You can just download it. I don't need your email or anything. And that's going to give you just a ton of good information about how to make what you currently have even better. And again, if you don't want to put in the time to do that, or maybe you don't have the time, then just book a call. We'll do it for you.
Yes, I highly recommend. I personally have gone through the checklist. It is not that bad. It's not.
All right, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. So anyone listening, just go do it. Try it out. You won't regret it. And if you don't want to do it, just hit up Jon and he'll take care of you.
That's right. Sure will.
um other than your website, is there any other places for people to contact you, like LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah, we have Facebook and Instagram accounts that we put valuable content on every day. You can find us again. Just search for Cedar Press Proofreading. If you'd like to connect with me personally, LinkedIn is the best way to do it. So you can search for my name, it's Jon Clemence, or you can search for Cedar Press Proofreading, and I'll show up there. You can connect with me. Drop me a line. We'll chat. Whatever you want to do.
Awesome. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, Jon. It's been wonderful. And thank you to all our listeners. This has been another episode of Bites of Business. And we're signing off. Bye. Come on. Sorry, my laptop's going slow. I'll
That's
edit
all
this
right.
out. I'll edit this last part out. Okay, start recording.